Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong. I guess I thought. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong. I guess I thought. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. Been a while since you felt like this. There must be something wrong.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ostrava, Czech Republic, day 2 of week 2 on the ISU Junior Grand Prix. I'm Ted Barton along with Mark Hanratty. Now, today we start with the rhythm dance. Mark, let's go back last week to Riga and the winners.
Yes, the winners last week, Noemi Maritalia and Noah Lafranada. Perhaps a slight surprise in winning over the Junior World Bronze medalist Daria Grimm and Mikhail Savitsky. For this event this week, it's again for the rhythm dance, social dance styles from the 1950s, 1960s and 1970s. And I think of the 19 teams competing, it's a pretty open race.
Okay, we have 19 teams from 14 nations, and the rhythm dance starts right now. Welcome, everyone, to Ostrava, Czech Republic, day 2 of week 2 on the ISU Junior Grand Prix. We are rejuvenated from a long day yesterday as we fly over the arena here in Ostrava. I'm Ted Bart along with Mark Hanratty. Mark, the rhythm dance coming up. It's your event. So take it away. You're full of energy now.
Well, yes, we have all the verve and vigor for a long day. Not as long as yesterday. Yesterday was quite the marathon, but excited to see the start of the ice dance competition, and the dancers will all be eagerly awaiting their participation, having to wait an extra day as we see the judging lineup as well.
The judging lineup is like the soccer team takes the field, and the technical panel, of course, as well. Very important for those who are new to the sport. There are 2 panels. One is a technical panel identifying what the elements are and how difficult they are, the technical elements that is, as we look at the start order. And the other panel, the judges will add to or reduce the base value based on the quality of the execution of those technical elements. And then the other side of skating, of course, is the program components. That's more, if one says, for general people, artistic aspect, but there are many specifics about that as well. So don't want to go down the rabbit hole too deeply on that one.
Yeah, interesting to see how many key points will be awarded. So for
now really confuse it. Now tell people what a key point is.
So this year, for the junior ice dancers, they have to perform 2 sequences of the paso doble. Now, the paso doble is what some may remember known as a compulsory dance or a pattern dance. And in the lower standards, the younger age categories, that's a section of the competition on its own. This year for juniors, they have to include that within the context of their whole program. And in that paso doble, there'll be certain steps which will be scrutinized by the technical panel, and they can potentially achieve a higher level if they perform them cleanly.
They are called key points.
And they are indeed the key points.
Okay.
And so for key points on each sequence of the paso doble, and chance for the skaters to boost their score. And each key point adds either half a point or 3/4 of a point to their total tech score.
I like you use the word scrutinized because it's really investigated and scrutinized on the detail and the small details that the general public probably wouldn't see, but know for sure that they're being looked at very closely and judged very accurately. So, yeah.
Yes, and throughout yesterday's event, when we were watching the pairs and the singles, we're just discussing some questions coming into us on the International Skating Union's social media regarding what constitutes the different levels. And I did mention that the higher levels in the ice dance competition tend to require less turns, But the technical panels in an ice dance competition expect a little, definitely deeper edge set and more clarity with the edges within the turns.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit further on that. And I do want to mention, too, although we're watching the dance event, that we will have a guest commentator joining us for the men's free program. Jason Brown, the famous Jason Brown, will be joining us. That's going to be a lot of fun. Next week, we'll have Kathy Reed helping us on the ice dance, and Caitlin Osmond as well in the women. So bringing a new sort of twist, if you will, to our broadcast, and that's going to be exciting. And it's so nice that these athletes, former athletes, are thrilled to join.
Yeah. So
we're really excited about that. We'll see how it works, and hopefully the technology won't fail us, but you never know.
Yeah, and how wonderful that our elite ice dance community, or our elite skating community, is quite small, and how wonderful that these elite skaters want to be still involved in the sport and give back a little bit of their experience and expertise.
I think it's the charm of your accent, really, that makes them want to be involved with this. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, there we go. What can we expect in this event? You talked about that in the opening, that this is a wide open event. There's no sort of favorites coming into this.
Not the same kind of obvious front runners as there were perhaps last week when we were at the first Junior Grand Prix of the series in Riga. But what will be guaranteed is that the ice dancers will have high energy performances. And so, as I mentioned in the opening, that this year they have to have identifiable 1950s, 1960s and 1970s dance styles. And so there are some examples like rock and roll or jitterbug, twist, or disco, and I think disco probably the most recognizable that we saw last week.
So when you say recognizable, who judges that recognizability?
Well,
That's a word.
That is actually quite interesting, and that was a question that was posed a little bit. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, wow.
Oh, swimming back there.
Oh, that is amazing. The question was posed actually to us on the social media channels last week, and it's something I need to investigate a little bit further. I'm going to have to take that up with the Ice Dance Technical Committee, because in previous years, I remember the year that the Latin rhythms were selected for the rhythm dance for ice dancers, and when that happened, the teams had to specify their type of dance style. And so when we as commentators were given the biographies of the skaters, we would see if they'd chosen maybe rumba or samba
I see,
or
yeah, that's true,
cha-cha.
yeah. Yep.
This year, the skaters do not have to give that same level of clarity. And from watching what I've seen, either from senior events that have maybe been posted online, and certainly with watching the Junior Grand Prix last week, I wasn't as clear on what exactly dance styles were chosen, but maybe that's just my lack of knowledge.
That was a very big pause before you chose your words.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get back to everyone on that. And remember, you can send your questions in. Been brilliant questions over the over the first 2 weeks. It's absolutely fantastic. So we really, really appreciate that. Keep them coming, because it helps us fill the time during ice resurfacing and also the warm-ups. So here we go, Mark.
And now to a new team, Laine and Reina. And this is their second season, but their first Junior Grand Prix. Szilagyi just started ice dance only just over a year ago. So the Laine and Reina from Finland start the rhythm dance in the Junior Grand Prix in Ostrava, and that very clearly, well, I think very clearly 1950s. So when we discussed as to whether or not the teams would specify their dance style, I thought rock and roll.
No, you're good on that one. That's,
that's a safe one.
Yeah, you're safe there. As you looked at me to go, well, I think. No, you're good.
Corroborate the fact.
Yeah, it's fun. We've enjoyed that in the Riga with the variety of dances, of course, and great music through those 3 decades, right? So
brilliant music, and I think what's so important for the teams as we look at their twizzles is that it's high energy, and that absolutely no doubt the case for this team as we look through the sequential twizzles. Level 3 for both.
Yeah. Minus GOE on that, so quality will be affected. That GOE score. There's the curve lift. That's in the level 4, so all 4 features are achieved with just a small plus GOE, so just a 0.08. So not much.
And this one of the key points for Szila, and here for Urho. And unfortunately, the depth and clarity of their edges not deemed collably clean, so no key points awarded for the team, and thus their two passo doble sequences both come in at a base value. But it's very identifiable as a rock and roll movement, and I thought that the phrasing was excellent. Some really clear phrasing musically for each of the 5 elements that they had in their rhythm dance. And their coach that joins them, Neil Brown, and I was joking with him as to, what can we mention about the team? He said, well, he's explained to them now they have to practice their ability to draw a different number. So next time they don't want to be drawing first to skate in the event. So I don't know.
That's always easy, no matter who you are, but it's not the most desirable position.
Well, it means the earliest practice. And
yeah, for sure. Well, they have a 35.52, the first team out of this event, and as you mentioned, not a lot of experience yet in this team, gaining it some here for sure. And Neil doing a good job and sort of quickly assessing where they're at, making sure they keep perspective on what they just did and what they accomplished here, what the goal was. Let's take a look here.
And so from a team that were relatively newly formed to a team that teamed up in November of 2018, Kaho Yamashita and Yuto Nagata. Well, the high energy continues with Kaho Yamashita and Yuto Nagata from Japan, a team that, as I say, have been together for almost 6 years, but not a lot of international experience. And I just wonder whether or not what we know Kathy Reed is doing to popularize ice dance in Japan, whether or not Daisuke Takahashi, the former world singles champion in men's, who turned to the ice dance discipline, has done to popularize this discipline in a nation that is so successful in singles and pairs.
That was a great musical piece. The Doors, I love that.
Yeah.
And anybody of my age or even younger is going to love this type of music. And they were pretty good. They had a solid basic standard of skating skills were really good.
And interesting that they chose to do that rotational lift as their first element, normally reserved for later in the program. And here, as we see it team on team, the size of this Paso Doble 1 is a bigger pattern than that from the Finnish team that have competed already, indicating stronger skating skills. And individually, both obviously solid skaters. You can see good ice coverage and using the feature whereby they stay on one foot as their Group C feature with the twizzles.
Yeah, the twizzle synchronization was awesome and good ice coverage as well. As we take a look at the midline steps here, nice and close and pretty well synchronized.
And Kaho and Yuto explaining, as we see some fun aspects to their choreo, that they are grateful for the ISU age change this year in ice dance. So now both the man and the woman can be up to the age of 21 by the 1st of July of that season, and that allows them to get this Junior Grand Prix experience this year.
It's so nice to see Japan having both success in pairs and in ice dance. They've been a great single skating nation for many, many years, of course, and now we see the growth of those other disciplines, and that's just really wonderful to see. We need that more, and from more countries around the world, of course.
And now I think with the Olympic medal in the team event, I think that some of the strong federations, or perhaps even the aspiring federations, are mindful that they need to have strong representation across all 4 disciplines.
It's a big motivating factor, no question. If you want to participate in the Olympic game team event, you need to have those pair teams and dance teams. As we take a look at the scores, 51.24, pretty good score, but early on in the competition, that'll put them currently into first place.
On the ice, representing Hungary,
And now to 14-year-old Veillon Szilagyi and 15-year-old István Jaracs. And they will skate to You Should Be Dancing. Veillon, Mira, Szilagyi and Jaracs.
Yeah, I felt that they were just a little bit, I'm not sure what the right word would be, disconnected or disjointed a little bit. Like they're both still individuals. They're not skating yet as a team, and the skating skills are a little bit weaker. That said, that's just part of the process as these teams get rolling, and it takes time. It takes thousands of hours or hundreds of hours at least to get comfortable.
Endless repetition. And for the ice dancers, as we touched on last week in Riga, the volume of time is so indicative of the success in this team. Just 14 and 15 years old, so young, and they've competed in basic novice, intermediate novice, and advanced novice events as we see their difficult entry into their twizzles, and now taking the step up to junior, and they will be eager to represent Hungary at Junior World Championships in Hungary. What an accomplishment that will be if they can achieve the minimum technical element scores.
And at that age, they're still growing, so things are constantly changing. Yeah.
And here again, another look for the eagle-eyed viewers as to the size of the pattern, which in that paso doble, all of the teams having to do the exact same steps, and so the amount of ice they cover within that exact same timing will be such a clear contributor to how much skating skill they have. And within the midline non-touch, they're allowed to stop for up to 5 seconds, provided they don't come into hold. Rotational lift. And they're the difficult exit to be the conclusion of their 5 elements.
Yeah, they got the level 4 on that with a small plus GOE score. And they're looking, this is going to be their first ISU Junior Grand Prix score. So we don't have a personal best yet in their bio. This will be it.
And they'll be hoping to follow in the footsteps of their coach Nora Hoffman, and Nora also working with Michael Zenazzini. And we were chatting to Nora this week, and she was acknowledging how brilliant it is that Michael's now come on board, so they have a coaching staff that comprises of both a male and a female in the ice dance partnership, and how that's such an attribute for Veillon and Istvan to be able to see the demonstration for both parties of this.
It's so important for both the ice dance and pair skating to have input from both.
Yeah.
Both partners, really. It's hard to talk about the female's role if you're the male.
Yeah.
You've never done it before. Let's take a look. The score is 36.49 for Veillon and Istvan, and that will put them currently in the second place.
Next to skate, representing Switzerland, Serena Tscharner,
And to Serena Tscharner and Laine and Wiederkehr. And I'm excited to see their final element, having seen some fun examples of it in practice for their non-touch step sequence. Serena, Tscharner and Wiederkehr. And we've seen Wiederkehr competing at Junior Worlds last year with her former partner, and she had to leave because of her father's work. I think she moved to the United States of America, and that was obviously really disappointing because that team showed such potential. Both were Lorraine and also the coaching staff had poured so much time and energy into that partnership, but they are delighted to have found Serena, who they said works incredibly hard, and you can see that she's going to fit in just perfectly in this ice dance discipline.
Talk a little bit about that, what we saw in the diagonal steps with the, not the fall, but the swimming on the ice.
No, and that's completely allowed. So within the non-touch step sequence, touching the ice with any part of the body is allowed, provided it's for no more than 5 seconds. And what a brilliant example of, you know, sort of exploiting that rule to boost the composition and the presentation. As we see the twizzles. And here, if we get to see through the Group C feature, the third twizzle, I think it looks so obvious that Serena has a comfort as a single skater. It looks like she's really comfortable with doing the back outside, you know, twizzle for prep for jumping. This was great. I loved the transition into the straight line lift and Lorraine's interpretation throughout, exploiting the hold that he had. For the passo doble, I didn't think it was perhaps the optimal timing and phrasing. They looked like they were perhaps chasing the timing a little bit. Maybe that's the reason that the creative execution for the passo doble sequences aren't the best. Maybe that will just tighten up as we get a chance to look at that example of touching the ice within.
He wanted to get off the ice pretty quick. Get his body off the ice quickly.
And there, the back choctaw.
But I think for this partnership, it was a good number to bring. Good, happy music. Has its own sort of character, and both in costume and in performance. So it was a great start.
And Cornelia Leroy and Alyssa Besegier, the coaches who are doing such a brilliant job for pushing and promoting ice dance within Switzerland. And they didn't mess about after Junior World Championships when there was the disappointment of, you know, the reality that the partnership had to disband, straight onto the formation of this new team, which are so new, really. They've done an incredible job in the space of time.
No time wasted in that transition. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance scores for Serena and Lorraine, 46.18, and that will put this team currently into second place.
This is going to increase that score, I'm sure. She looks like she's ready to turn that into 50 point something.
Yeah, exactly. Close, but not.
Yeah. We want more.
Here we see group number 2 taking to the ice for their warm-up. And there is a look at the start order for this. Okay, any questions on ice dance here, Mark?
Well, we'll check in with our wonderful team at the ISU. But as yet, I'm not sure we have prompted and encouraged enough question making. So it'd be great to hear from those of you that are tuned in to watch this rhythm dance event. If you have any questions regarding this discipline,
ask Mark.
Although how wonderful that, you know, we joke about how this is the discipline that I competed in, and thus I'm more familiar with some of the criteria. But for many, you know, this is the singles and the pairs, obviously 3/4 of our sport. You know, those are more closely related. The ice dance to 25% of the representation of the sport, and yet it's always interesting to see what the figure skaters think of the ice dance event itself. And I think I often, it's perhaps unfair because I did compete in ice dance, so I take the mickey a little bit out of the ice dancers because I was one latterly. But whilst the ice dance community make it seemingly look so effortless, there's no denying that the volume of work that they put in is intense. And arguably, the ice dancers do tend to spend more time on the ice. They don't have the same physical athleticism or injury risk as the single skaters or the pair skaters, but they do put often more mileage in regards to the run-through repetition or the training time.
I would argue that they do have the physical risk, and well, different type of risk.
Yeah.
But the physicality is smoothed over by performance. Not smoothed over, but it's hidden a little bit through the performance. So you don't see pair skaters performing, the dance routine in between their elements, which take the whole length of the rink. They just don't have time to do it. But I think the physicality of this is that much more important because they have to perform with all their body, but mostly the upper body, while their lower body is doing all the technical elements. That's complicated. Two sides of your brain. You have to be performing and concentrating. But, this is an incredibly difficult sport discipline, which is camouflaged by the beautiful outfits and the fun music.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's hard for people to understand how difficult it is because they make it look easy, as you mentioned, and beautiful.
And it's perhaps a little harder to visibly assess the quality, unlike in the singles and the pairs where mistakes are more visible.
Yes,
the falls
true.
do not happen. Although that said, in Riga last week in the free dance, there were quite a few tumbles. Perhaps that because it was early in the season, or perhaps it's because we're dealing with some new teams.
Yeah.
But I just am so passionate about the flow and the glide, which dictates so much. And the quality of the stroking. And
when we talk about that, we understand it. Anybody who's watched a lot of skating understands it. For any new viewers going, well, what do you mean the flow? What is exactly the flow and the speed of the flow? And the depth of edge, what do you mean? And it's really difficult. You can see some good deep edges here, right? But how much of a lean can you have on those curves right in there or in that edge right there? And if it goes kind of flat and straight versus deep curves.
And the judges will be able to predict the skating skills component score almost instantly. As we see this team, we watch the entirety of their non-touch step sequence, and I think they'll fall into the high threes, maybe mid fours to the mid four range. But I could have given that on the first back crossover because of the fundamental way in which they press into the ice, how long their stroke is, and the consequential flow and glide. The team here now stroking around the ice, I think they might be the first to perform, so they're I'm not sure.
Canadian team.
But they already, in that forwards run there from the team, you can see that the skating skills are higher before we've seen an element. And that's something that the trained eye will be able to assess more than the newbie to the sport.
It's interesting. The verbiage for you comes just flowing out of your mouth because you are speaking ice dance.
Yeah.
When we're speaking to people that don't know anything about this, okay, we do because we're skaters, but not the detail that you have. It's so difficult to choose the words that accurately defines or refers to what people are seeing because there's so much detail that the technical panel and the judges are looking at. And that's difficult to communicate to a general audience that's going, well, that looked good. Why is it third?
Yeah.
You know? So it's one of the challenges that we have in our sport to be able to give enough information, not too much to confuse them, but enough for them to go, oh, yeah, I can see that.
And I think within the ice dance competition, what perhaps was easier for the untrained eye to assess the better skating skills was when they had the compulsory or the pattern dance competition independently, because as we'll see within this, everybody has to do the same steps to the same measure of music, and so it gives you a much easier idea for who's strongest in just the fundamentals. So we'll try and tune into those pasodobles that the juniors have to perform.
Back to work, Mark.
Yep.
Make this simple. Make this easy. Allow me to understand it. Then you're going to be good.
Declutter my language.
Exactly. Here we go. That's
On
fun.
the ice, representing Canada, Veillon and Brandys.
And now to the team that came 8th at the Junior World Championships last season, 18-year-old Leila Veillon and 19-year-old Alexander Brandys. And they will skate Twist and Shout, Stay and Do You Love Me. Oh,
That's going to count as a fall, is it?
fall by 2 potentially.
Yeah.
I'm not.
We're
Oh
gonna have
dear.
to- yes, fall. There you go. Comes
Oh,
in
what
the
a
system.
shame! And then the Canadian teammates are just now. We're all in shock because otherwise it was such a fun and really entertaining rhythm dance. Oh, poor Alexander there. Just.
But interesting enough, it's fall by 1 because
Okay.
I think she fell on top of him. Does that count?
So she kind of was cushioned from touching the ice.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Well, it could have been
check it out.
worse.
Here we go. Wow.
Oh, otherwise, I really enjoyed it. Fun music, fun choreo. And this is a team that, obviously 8th at Junior Worlds, as we see now, Paso Doble ones. This is titled as Paso Doble, or one Paso Doble, whereby man skates the man steps and woman skates the women's steps. And here, indication of the quality of a team that was top 10 at Junior World Championships. Ice coverage was good.
Now level 4 for both with a plus GOE at 0.93, so adding some points to that base value.
And here the second Paso Doble where the partners essentially flip their role. And here part of the keep, really tight footwork there from Leila. Very precise in her foot placement on the key point. And I really enjoyed there the outside close mohawk trying to push for the higher level, but here mashed potato and then do the twist. And you can't ask for more. I mean, it's easy when you've got music like that with such synonymous movement, but it was perfectly appropriate in regards to presentation and composition. I wonder what happens
Let's
here.
see what happens.
Oh, I don't really want to relive it though.
Okay. Okay, neither do they, but we're playing it. Here we go. Let's see what happens.
Oh, he was giving it big licks as well.
He goes down, and no, she touches the ice too.
Well.
So that's interesting. It's just a fall by 1 they have at the moment.
Okay.
Or maybe it was because she fell after.
The music?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a mystery.
Adrien Diaz joins them in the kiss and cry. He part of the Ice Academy in Montreal, Ontario skating school. And they acknowledge Leila and Alexander how much inspiration they get from their training mates that they work with. And they explained to me how excited they were to show everyone all the hard work that they've gone through in the off-season, and that very evident. Just, of course, if they could rewind that last 2 seconds.
Yeah, and you take that to a degree, the last second or two, for granted, because you know it's coming to an end. You're stopped. You're kind of still
happy and elated that it's
exactly. And the last thing you think is losing your balance as you're standing still, right?
Yeah.
So,
and this team will have been coming into this event trying to compete up against Fradji and Tscharner and Fourneaux, who I think were 4th at Junior Worlds. So they'd be eager to see how their off-season would help to push them forwards. But
and the technical panel still on the review of element number 5, the rotational lift, and they'll probably carry that through into the fall at the end. So that might change from a fall by 1 to a fall by 2. Now they've got the 4 technical elements have been reviewed and cleared, but let's see if they are going to change that. Now they're back to looking at the rotational lift. When there's a mistake like that, the technical panel's really doing an investigation to make sure that they follow the rules of a mistake like that, and good for them. And that's why we have video replays. So let's see what happens with that.
And equally
determination.
for the judges, because the little mistake at the end, how does that impact upon their consideration of the presentation component score? And when we get to the Elite Senior World Championships, when a serious error takes place, there are clear criteria as to what score you can't go into, but generally just mistakes have to be considered as a percentage of the whole. Oh, man.
It just changed, fall by 2, yeah.
Oh, actually.
So they went through that process, and that fall was right at the very end, and they took a look at it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I know it's accurate. It's absolutely accurate. She touched the ice, and so did he. So, but 58.08. They're still going to get a good score. They lose the 2 points. It'll still be a pretty good score.
I imagine that for Leila and Alexander, having had a 58 last season, they would have been eager to push up to that 60-point marker.
They would have been, yeah.
But they actually made a big improvement, I think, within last season, because I didn't do Junior Worlds, you did Junior Worlds, but I saw them at the Junior Grand Prix in Osaka, and they were 7th there, and they went from 7th at a Junior Grand Prix event to then making 8th at Junior Worlds when all the best teams are together. So
yeah, that year they continued to get confidence and continued to improve on the ice and in their scores. And
Well, that'll hopefully be the exact same.
yeah, exactly. It's the first start of the season. It's 55.04, which is not a bad score. You can see the coach, Adrian, and the skates. Whoa, that's a little bit better than I thought it would be. So
Feared.
yeah, and that puts them currently into first place. But it'll depend on the scores, of course, of the remaining teams, and there's quite a few yet to come.
Next to skate, representing Belgium, Sofia Beznosikova, Max Leleu.
And now to the team representing Belgium, Sofia Beznosikova and Max Leleu. Said that they struggled to confirm their rhythm dance music choice this season. Coaches proposed the choice, and it'll be Brick House. Sofia Beznosikova and Max Leleu continuing to make big strides forwards. A team that were 29th at the Junior World Championships in 2023. They moved up 11 places at last year's Junior World Championships, and they've obviously been working hard this off-season, given the way they're starting their 2024-2025 season.
Yeah, the personal best 53.62. They're going to come close to that. You can see really a good core, basic skills, skating skills is pretty strong. Love the music. You know, they really they did a great job with it.
It makes me think Kurt Browning did Brick House.
Exactly.
Yeah, iconic move. I wonder if they've seen that performance. Here, Paso Doble 2 with Max skating the women's steps. Oh, wow, that was a fantastic from Sofia. You can see the angle of her blade there as she fought that very clear key point. In an attempt to get it called here, back inside counter into the bracket. I thought the counter better than the bracket in terms of trying to be callable. And there, a back Choctaw, also good edge set here, and level 2 assigned to both teams. That Piper Gillis and Popwari nod to the current world silver medalist in regards to that slide within their non-touch. This was cool too. That was fun choreography transition within the sequential twizzles. Not sure about the B feature with the arms there, but it's gone in the system as level 4.
They look really solid.
Yeah, and this team have relocated in part to Novi in Michigan to work with Igor Spielband and Pasquale Carmalengo, but they continue to work with Elizaveta Nemtseva, who's supported them from their earliest time as a team, having been together now for 4 years. Sophia showcases her Belgian jacket. And so having had that 53.62 at Junior Worlds, be looking to be in contention with that kind of score. But of course it's the debate of, you know, as the season progresses, how much room is there within the context of the season for the higher personal bests?
Yeah, it's hard to sort of gauge, and we haven't seen massive changes in scores. I mean, it obviously depends on how you skate, right? But, you know, now they're in the competitive mode, so how much are they learning and improving every step? They're improving their competitive fitness and their competitive consistency, but are they improving the quality of all of that at the same time? Because it's a different part of the season. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance scores. 50.61. That is third in the rhythm dance for Sophia and Max.
Little premature in their departure from the kiss and cry.
Gotta work on that part. Stay in the kiss and cry.
On the ice, representing the United States of America, Wolfkostin
and now to a team that have looked incredibly strong, both in practice and in their warm-up here. Katerina Wolfkostin and Dmitry Tsarevski. Katerina Wolfkostin and Dmitry Tsarevski. And I mean, they're just obviously so incredibly strong. Undoubtedly one of, if not the strongest teams here in Ostrava. But the twizzles and just rotation plagued Dmitry, just obviously not comfortable in that performance.
I think he carried that little mistake in the twizzles a little bit forward into the rest of the program. Just trying not to make a mistake, and then had a little bobble near the end.
And he's so good. He's amazing. And
you can see her, try to console him a little bit.
And I think Dmitry has been so supportive of Katerina. She had fractured her leg, I think, this year, and he's been so supportive of her recovery. And now her turn to perhaps cajole him with some disappointment he might feel from the wobbles within the rotations. And here, a reference, the ice coverage, you can see close to the boards, both the short and the long barrier. And so experienced. And actually, we didn't just catch the beginning, but the entry, their difficult entry into the twizzles was brilliant. 1, 2, I think it's going to be level 2 at best for Dmitry because of the check and rotation after that second rotation. And again, loads of ice coverage, deep edge set on that counter, but here within this, even this just looked a little uncomfortable.
It's going to affect the score, but not wildly.
Yeah.
Great pick up into this rotation lift. A little bit of a slip there as well on those turns.
So you potentially got 3 elements that are not going to have the grade of execution that they're certainly capable of as Charlie White joins them in the kiss and cry. But another team that are being able to utilize, but I think the age change, I think this team would be definitely senior worthy. Obviously choosing to do both juniors and seniors this year to gain as much competition experience as possible. And although this wasn't anything they would have perhaps ideally hoped of, I think this team has the potential to be front runners this season.
Sure. They need the mileage.
Yeah.
You know, the strength is there. You can see it. It's a little wobbly and it's not quite in sync and all that stuff at this point. But they are strong enough individuals as ice dancers to become a very strong partnership and a very strong team. It's just not there yet. It's on its way.
And I think we've seen that previously when one member of a team has been injured, that sometimes then when they return to competition, it's the other partner that's made the mistakes.
Exactly.
Maybe so.
Hasn't been training with his partner.
Yeah. Or just caring and worrying so much about it.
True enough. 55.98 for Katerina and Dmitry. And that is first in the rhythm dance so far in this competition. And pretty close. As you can see, 55.98 and 55.04. So pretty tight. And both teams had errors, clear errors, so we'll see.
And now to a team that teamed up in spring of 2023. Elisa Ovsiankina and Maximilian Rahier. And they're going to start with Daddy Cool. We're really being treated with some brilliant music choices.
She's crazy like
And there's Ovsiankina and Rahier. And the men are having a little bit of the challenge, I think, in this event with these sequential twizzles.
But this is a pretty strong team. I mean, they've got really good skills and technical elements, but there was just a little bit of wobbly. We talked a bit about it being early in the season, and things can happen, but the basic skills of this team are really strong. Skating skills is good, good speed, good flow.
Yeah, really good. And for me, Maximilian, coming from that school of that sort of French dynasty of skating skill by Olivier Schonfelder, former world champion, and they're just renowned for having such incredible depth of knee and ankle, and that was so evident immediately as soon as like the first stroke here, even that mohawk, you could see the depth of the knees and the ankles.
Look at the speed across the ice, just
lovely.
the push, yeah.
It did fatigue a little bit because at this point for this first element, the quality of the skating skills so good. And actually their skating skills component score is going into the high fives, and I think they're easily capable of mid sixes, maybe just the end of the program fatigue. And this little mistake impacts, of course, on the judges.
But they're a well-matched team. Both of their individual skating skills are pretty similar.
Yeah. And as I say,
just a little bit of bobble there, not a big deal, but again, a small mistake adding to the overall impression.
And when this couple of Alyssa and Maximilian get their feedback from the judges in the technical panel, they'll see level 1 on the step, level 1 on the level 1 and level 2 in the twizzles, and a dropped level in the rotational lift. So those are, for a team of this caliber, relatively easy points to pick up as the season progresses. So their tech score is going to be a little frustrating. Now that could be that the panel here are very strict.
But if you look at the overall score here, it's not so bad. They're in the sixes in the program components, so you're right. Just a 2 and a 1 on the midline step and a 2 and a 1 on the sequence, or the twizzles. So lots of potential to gain points.
Fairly easily.
Yeah, fairly easily, yeah.
Because their individual quality of skating definitely denotes.
And in a way, that's one of the ways you can really tell the strength of the skating skills of the team when their elements have not had the success, but the overall score is still there.
Yeah.
We'll take a look. It's not going to be at the top, but it'll have a certain range. It's not far from it. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance scores. 49, it just dropped a bit. 49.89 for Alyssa and Maximilian, and that'll put them currently into 5th place. Not pleased, of course, with the skate or with the score.
Just looking.
But much more to come from them.
Yeah, looking at Olivier for an assessment of why it is as it is.
On the ice representing Germany, Finelli and Hemcke and Sladkov.
And now to a very, very new team, Nelly, Elisa Hemcke and Artyom Sladkov. A fun and energetic finish for Nelly, Elisa Hemcke and Artyom Sladkov, a team that got together just in March of this year, and he has had a foot operation in the time that they have been together. So such a limited training time, and how well they have done to ready themselves for this, just the second stop on the Junior Grand Prix this year.
Yeah, and you could see that a little bit of, not enough preparation time at this point of the season, but as they move along, they get much better, of course. They're, pretty good, strong skaters, but just not enough synchronization and little not awkward, it's not the right word, but they just need more time.
Absolutely, and here, catching the foot, that one of their features.
Yeah, nice and close and fast.
Arms extended in front, that a Group B feature to push the level ever higher. And actually, as we see the straight line left, the change of pose, that coming in at a level 4, but the levels being assigned to the twizzles low in this event, so the technical panel being pretty strict on the rotation, perhaps just considering some checked rotations as we see them work through the non-touching midline step. But Artyom in particular really enjoying the opportunity to perform. Seems like a really expressive skater, and we saw him just actually, it was great to see. We're getting to see everybody waving at us. Artyom was just waving at us not long before they went out, and I think that's so cool that in his first Junior Grand Prix, he's relaxed enough and present in the moment enough to be able to acknowledge every part of this experience on their Junior Grand Prix assignment representing Germany.
It's nice to see the skaters and some of the coaches as well, happy to be here, happy to be in this environment. A little less stressful than the seniors, of course, and it's early in the season. So it's a little bit more relaxed, but as they get a little further down the pathway in the season, it gets a little bit more intense.
Yeah. Pressure gets built up. And indeed, I learned that Nelly has dreamt of representing Germany at Junior Grand Prix for years. So the enormity of what this represents to an athlete that spent so many years training towards this is huge. As Vitaly Schultz dissects the performance with him.
And we tend to think, when you watch figure skating on television or you hear the big names and the big competitions, you kind of forget about that journey. Yeah. That looks like not the end of the journey, but it looks like they're at the top of the game. This is the journey. Yeah. Down here, and so.
And these are the formative coaches. Like last week, the team leader for Germany, Karolina Hermann, was taught by Vitaly, and she went on to then compete at World Senior Championships. These are the experiences that go on to create the world team members.
Yeah, we not only see the skating talent here in the juniors, you're also seeing the young coaching talent as well, which is really interesting to watch. And they're usually generally part of a bigger team, but when they start going out internationals, because they're being entrusted with the athletes at that level.
And this team train in Dortmund, where Anna Gerke, who we picked out as a must-watch skater from last week, so a training rig in Germany that boasts both single skaters and ice dancers with a view to supporting athletes towards international competition.
Well, let's take a look at the scores for the rhythm dance for Nelly and Artyom. 15 and 17 years of age for this team. And the score is 42.67. That'll be 7th at the rhythm dance, and a high five. They smiles on their face. They're pleased with that. Whoa, that was a tough one. That was a hard one. Yeah, that was awesome. Good job. And now we have movie break.
Yes, time to tune in with the interview of the winners last week, as we see Wolfkostin and Tsarevski leading the field at this stage. We chance now to look back at the winners from last week, Noemi Maria Tali and Noah Lafornara. And then, staying with this ice dance theme, we look at the A Day in the Life of series and that of last year's A Day in the Life with Atle Onge Perez and Ashley Slatter. And then, finally, in this resurface, a look at Team Titanium, New Zealand's historic debut in the Synchro Championships. Actually, with slight change, Ted.
Okay.
I've just been informed that we're going to look at highlights from the World Ice Skating Day, and that this year will take place on the 15th of December.
There you go. Enjoy. We'll be back.
Noemi, Noah, congratulazioni.
Grazie mille.
And this is the first gold for an Italian ice dance team at the Junior Grand Prix for 17 years. So how are you both feeling?
Well, it feels great to be here and have won this our first international competition of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we worked really hard over this summer, improving ourselves and also us as a team. So to come here and have that, not only feel our improvement, but also to show it and to have it received well like this, it's really an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
Now, you had both explained to me in terms of your hard work that you have a challenge that you've set between you and your training mates as to how many clean run-throughs you can do in a day. Now, tell the skating fans that are listening to this will know how insanely ridiculous the number of run-throughs you've done in a day is.
So our record is for now 7 run-throughs in a day.
Which just blows my mind. So it's no surprise to me that you skated cleanly here. I also want to just acknowledge that part of the year you spend training in Milan and you train alongside Szilagyi and Marco Fabbri, who are obviously European champions and world medalists. So how much of an inspiration does that give to you?
We love to have the chance to be there and skate with them at times because they show us how we want to be maybe in the future. Clean with good partnering moves and lots of passion put on the ice, and
it's really cool to train with a team of that caliber. To be able to watch how they train, how they communicate, and watch them do a run through in general, just to see that, it's really awesome. And it's wow, I want to do the same thing one day.
Well, you're on target. So you've won the first stop on the Junior Grand Prix series this year. So what are the goals and the plans that you might have ahead of your participation in Bangkok?
Well, our goal here, and I think for the rest of the season, is going to be to skate clean, most of all, because after last season where we made a lot of mistakes here and there, our number one goal is that. And once we've established that, we're going to put even much more in our programs. But
yeah, I think right now, as she said, our goal was to skate clean. So in competition, it was very conscious. So I think even just based off this event, feeling more confident, I think our goal in the future this season is to be able to put a little bit more emotion and a little bit more of a push, energy into the runs at competition, and less cautious.
It already looks so amazingly passionate, so I cannot wait to see it. So thank you so much and good luck. Grazie mille.
We're doing the free dance first, so we don't know what we're doing. So, well, for practice.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to do that.
So we're on our way to the ice rink for our first practice of the day. We are super excited and we're going to sort of feel around, the atmosphere and, really get to know what we're dealing with.
We'll have to check the schedule to see if you make it back in time for lunch.
Yeah, I've got some strawberries. Atto's got bananas and yogurt, so we can
That's fine.
mix it together.
Okay. No.
Ready to go in?
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, it hasn't been published yet. We'll have to wait.
Okay.
So, you're right.
Hi.
You've met before.
No, not really. Briefly, maybe I might have seen you.
Little British tea meetup. You guys know them now, so
Yeah,
you could
cool.
arrange to meet
Yeah.
up with her and whatnot.
Thank you.
Have a good practice. I actually have no idea where I'm going, so.
I think
That's
the other
the
side's
practice
good.
rink there.
That's the practice ring.
So
that's
that
the
side,
ring.
yeah.
Yeah, the main ring.
Should we go and have a look?
Yes.
Ooh.
It's cold.
This is gonna be.
Quite nice.
Yeah, it is.
I like it. I'm assuming it's going to be that side because there isn't anywhere to
Yeah.
sit here, so I'm assuming it's all going to be over there.
Okay.
And that. Oh, 7 a.m.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay.
fine. Don't
It's
worry.
alright.
Way. You okay? You're right though. What did you hurt? Because I just know what you two are like for telling me when you're hurt. You don't tell me. So I'm going to keep bugging you, okay? cheesy grin.
Posing like Evans for a photo. Big smile.
So we've just done our cool down, and now we can catch up on what everyone else is doing, you know, give some support and cheer for them. A lot of stuff going on really, but exciting. I'm having some soup right now. You know, the air in the rink is a bit cold, so it's always good to have hot drink, you know, to help, you know, cool yourself down and, you know, really get into the lungs.
I like chocolate and I like wafers. It's good. It's good.
Happy World Ice Skating Day, everyone!
The ice is now open for group number 3. The following couples may now take the ice for their warm-up. From the Czech Republic, Blaasova and Blaas. From the Czech Republic, Wolfkostin and Yang. From the Czech Republic, Szilagyi and Mencl. From Austria, Straub and Straub.
Welcome back to Ostrava for day 2 of action at the Junior Grand Prix of Figure Skating. First event of the day, the rhythm dance, with 9 teams already having completed their rhythm dance, with Katarina Wolfkostin and Dmitry Tsarevski leading the field at this halfway stage. And we are grateful for all those that have sent in questions. An abundance of questions have come in, Ted. So
you have the questions in your hand. Do you have the answers in your head?
Well, we're going to go
on the sidelines here. No, what's up?
We're going to go on high adrenaline insofar as I've not read them. So or I'll very quickly assess if they're worthy. But first one that comes in from @angel_kitty0115, and she asks, I presume she asks, what do the skaters appreciate their fans? And I think the skaters are incredibly appreciative of any support that they have, and I think that's something that perhaps is even more pertinent for the juniors, because it's been noted that perhaps in the juniors some of the skating community that watch, who are used to watching seniors, have been critical. And so I think that the juniors who have given their life to their craft at this stage would be very, very appreciative of any support and fanship that they may receive.
I could see you thinking, and that's actually a very good segue into the campaign and the support of the athletes online. Look, these are young skaters, many of them excellent, and some are early on in the stages of development. So any of the fans that support them as people, regardless of the stage of development that they're at, is greatly appreciated by the athletes and parents and the association.
Yes, and the Shape Hearts campaign we'll come back to, Ted, because there's some developments on that I'm not warmed up enough yet to talk about.
Okay, you're not warmed up enough. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Oh gosh, an interesting question that's come in from @Lisa Mice. Given this year's rhythm dance theme, what music would you have chosen to skate to? Now, given that this year's music from the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s, I think that you might be better educated in what you'd picked.
Educated?
Perhaps.
No, but the experience. You know, I love the Doors piece. You know why? Because there's not going to be too many. I predict there won't be too many teams that will use the Doors. The Doors music was awesome, but it was, I don't want to say it was dark, but it wasn't your happy joy, jump around the ice. It wasn't. It was more thoughtful, more sort of had a little bit of shade in it. And I thought it was pretty cool. So I like the Doors music. At the same time, I love the Bee Gees. And that's kind of the beach dancey type of thing. And the high voice, I like that as well. But the Doors would have been unique because not too many would use it. The Bee Gees would have been popular.
And we have, I think, the Bee Gees have perhaps been the most commonly heard piece that we heard last week as well.
Yeah.
And next question has come in from, how does the ISU determine the host city for any Grand Prix competitions?
Well, first of all, who wants to host it? That's number one. Really, for Junior Grand Prix, it's a little bit more of a struggle. There is support from the ISU for sure, but you go to North America, you can't host this. It's just too expensive with hotels and everything. It's a little bit easier in smaller communities, and you notice all the places we're going to, other than Bangkok, of course, but there's smaller cities in Europe, and so there is a process in which you fill out online, and there's some criteria in there that you need to follow, and then they'll take an assessment and they'll choose. And the one thing they do is that they want to spread it around the world. And you can see that we're going from Europe, we're going to Southeast Asia, then we're going back to Europe, and then we're going to China.
And I think certainly something that I'm obviously newer to the Junior Grand Prix, and one thing that I'm very mindful of is, prior to being here on site, I used to just take for granted Junior Grand Prix. Now, because I'm fortunate enough to be here on site, I'm so much more appreciative of the army of volunteers.
And the quality of the presentation. I mean, look at the rink board advertising. It's beautiful. It's like a senior championship, minus the audience, of course. But it is like a senior championship. They have television and streaming coverage of this now. There's a lot of social media. So the level of delivery of a Junior Grand Prix event is quite high. And the local organizing committees and the volunteers do a fabulous job.
Yep. And even the volunteers here that check the passes to ensure the safety of all the skaters, it may sound trivial, but they're wearing suits here. They're so professional in their conduct and very thorough as well. Sometimes that's not always good if you've not brought your pass, but it's for the best.
No, not sometimes. It's not good if you don't bring your pass.
And so many more questions ready to be asked, and we thank you. If we haven't got around to this warm-up, we certainly will in due course.
Sure. Thank you so much. It helps us fill the time and answer your questions.
And so this next brother and sister team of Natalia Blaasova and Philip Blaas are embracing the 1950s, 1960s and 1970s because they're taking us on a music evolution through the decades with their jailhouse rock, Proud Mary, and Disco Inferno. A great shot there of Coach Karolina Prochaskova just exhaling. She invested just as much, I think, as Natalie and Philip, who complete their rhythm dance for this season. Their music through the decades.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, they had a lot of cuts in that music, and I get the concept of trying to move people through, but it's not a lot of time.
No.
And they've got a lot of cuts in there, and it's, you know, at times it's abrupt, right? Not only just the music, but they have to change, right? So it is very interesting and not easy to do for sure. It'll only get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, a really interesting take on this, on this theme for this year's rhythm dance, not just sticking to one decade, exploiting the opportunity to skate to all 3 50s, 60s, and 70s. And the challenge with that is perhaps you dilute a little bit of the integrity of each one. So hopefully as the season progresses, they'll be able to differentiate. Very clear here at the beginning, very Elvis rock and roll style. As we look at the sequential twizzles. And again, still we haven't had a team, I think, with 2 level 4s on the twizzles, and that's pretty rare.
But they've been consistent. The technical panel has been very consistent, so that's good. Whoa, look at the depth of edge on that.
Took the cameraman by surprise. Yeah. And here, a key point, and this team choosing to do the second passo doble first, what goes into the system as the second passo doble. And this, the non-touch midline step, just not the depth of edge for that outgoing edge of the rocker. Good ice coverage, but just a little bit harder for the tech panel to give them higher level. And the first team to choose a stationary lift, option for straight line, curve, rotational, and stationary, and they, I think, used that stationary lift features last year, and they do it very well.
And the stationary lift is good for if you want to have that lift right at the end of the program. It's perfect because you're stopping the flow across the ice and able to utilize the choreography and the technical element all at the same time. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance score. For Natalie and Philip, there's 44.28, and that'll put them currently in the 7th place. Natalie not so impressed.
No.
Philip was going, it's okay, but yeah.
And although it is a random draw in the first portion of the competition, it's fabulous to see the Czech teams all back-to-back. And this, Lauren, Audrey Batkova and Jacob Yang. And they will be offering us the second rendition of Proud Mary in this event, but start with I Will Survive. Lauren, Audrey Batkova and Jacob Yang representing the Czech Republic. And
you know, in any other sports, except for performance sports like synchronized skating, synchronized swimming and whatnot, to cope with a disappointment in the program but have to look like you're happy and look like you're doing it, it's so difficult. That was a challenge here in this program.
It really was, but knowing a little bit of the backstory, this team is secured together. Lauren was diagnosed with acute asthma, and for weeks at a time she could be hospitalized. And at first she was only allowed to train for 15 minutes at a time. She was misdiagnosed and actually has something called VCD, and she could lose her vision on occasion. She has really struggled, but she said that Jacob has supported her throughout all of this, so despite the mistakes here, I feel confident that they will work together to cope with the frustration of that mistake.
Yeah, they're just odd mistakes. I don't think it's a technique mistake. It was just one of those things that happened in the performance as a bit of a surprise. Great
cool.
pickup on this rotational lift.
Yeah.
This is in a level 4 with a plus GOE, so this is one of their better elements in this program anyways.
Yeah, really good, difficult entry. This was just not quite sure.
Just too far back in the heel.
And then, of course, that impact in the concentration. And interesting to see Jacob just, it's so challenging. You're just so conscious of your partner. You want to be so supportive. And when they make a mistake, it undoubtedly has an impact upon the skater, whether they're in hold or not. So given all that Lauren has been through, the fact that they're here this season, good to see.
The scores, please.
The rhythm dance score for Lauren and Jacob, and it's 36.07. Just an unfortunate performance here with a couple mistakes, and that'll be cleaned up in the free program, I'm sure, but as they recover from this program and sort of get themselves refocused on what's coming tomorrow.
And they're great to see, again, confirmation that support between the team.
Mm-hmm.
Next to skate, representing the Czech Republic,
and now to the third and final Czech team. Amazing that they've been drawn back to back.
Yeah.
Eliška Zakova and Filip Mencl. And they will skate to music by Donna Summer. Eliška Zakova and Filip Mencl And Ted, the competition between these three Czech teams is, I was just considering how intense it will be this season. Mrazkova and Mrazek, the Czech ice dance team who won the World Junior Championships 2 seasons ago, facilitated participation for 3 teams from the Czech Republic this year.
Right.
Based on the results of last year's Junior Worlds, that's not going to be the case. So each of these teams is vying to become the coveted top Czech team to participate in Hungary's Junior World Championships next year.
Yeah, and they're fighting for that standard that they need to be at to be successful, not only getting to the Junior Worlds, but getting up in the top 10 or the top 5
to create more spaces for other teams in subsequent season. And at this point in time, you could see, I thought the phrasing was good for the first sequence of the Paso Doble. There, the key point. They actually had 3 key points in this first sequence. So that potentially the highest that we have seen thus far. Although and here we see the sequential twizzles. Right forward outside edge, the entry edge for the second. And again, like the teams before.
And here's watch, he just slips off his knee there, and that goes in as a fall, although
so
it was not on a technical element.
So unfortunate.
Yeah.
And as we look at the slow-mo replay, you can just see the lack of ultimate synchronicity that will develop as the season progresses. But in an ideal world, when they're parallel like this, you would be hardly able to differentiate the two. This is a feature, the jump entry into the rotational lift. And I'm not sure that was called. They've dropped a level, maybe not clear enough on that as we see the difficult exit.
Yeah, it's so important that every arm move and every blade move work together at the same time. You can see in that case that one would move, the other one would be a fraction of a second behind, and that's we just get it. It's not terrible, but it can be polished up for sure.
Joined by their coach Michal Cheska, whose birthday was on Tuesday, and he's working hard to promote and support the next generation of ice dance teams, and he started an ice dance academy in Prague, and he said that they've got 5 junior teams and 1 novice team there, and I think that's just so brilliant to hear of another ice dance academy being formed, because it's so hard to create an ice dance team or a pair team, because you have obviously 2 skaters, 2 sets of parents. To form a whole academy takes an army load of work, and I applaud anybody that does it.
Yeah, and it's good to see so that people don't actually have to travel so far away to start this discipline. I mean, maybe they're going to do that at the end. Who knows? We'll find out. But just to get involved, it can be very, very costly.
Yes. And great to see some European ice dance schools cropping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance score for Eliska and Philip, 46.92, and that will put them currently into 6th place. Well, 2 teams at 55 points, 1 team in 3rd place at 51.
And now to Anita Straub and Andreas Straub. This team missed the Junior Grand Prix last season because of Anita's broken collarbone. So wonderful to see them back. And they start with Play That Funky Music. Anita Straub and brother Andreas Straub, and this team, I think, have improved in their skating skills as the pair team from Austria, I think, support them rinkside. I think largely thanks to the inclusion of Galina Chirolova in their coaching staff. Galina, I understand, has relocated from Ukraine, and her influence very evident upon their skating skills. I found the music to be a little bit more Charleston in its style, so not 100% sold on it being 1950s, 60s, or 70s.
That's back to your question as what's defined, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so interesting to just acknowledge that perhaps, and even stylistically in the costume, it doesn't necessarily ooze an obvious and vivid 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s, but what does showcase improvement is just the way in which the couple now extend their legs. So there's so much more mindfulness of their free foot placement. Here in the twizzles, you can see the technique that has been assigned to them in their training. Their skating skills are much more clearly defined.
Yeah, and you're right, we have not seen a level 4 set of twizzles by both the man and the woman.
And so that isn't conventional at Junior Grand Prix. That's fairly commonly assigned, provided that there aren't mistakes. And so the tech team are being very clear in what they want to see.
Yeah, but consistent, and
yes.
That's good.
And so Anita and Andreas, having had the year out because of the injury, it's great to see them back, and I think that the personal best for this team will be much higher than what we saw from their participation at Czech Skate 2 years ago.
Yeah, the personal best, 50.92. They're going to beat that here.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
I don't think we've seen anything close to any personal best from any of the other teams thus far, so that's great to see.
That's really good news. And let's see the reaction. Rhythm dance scores to 53.34. There we go, nod of the head, that's good. And that puts Anita and Andreas currently into third place. Yeah, now we have the smile from Anita. Here it is.
And now, performance has started. A very talented team. Young, but showcasing such refinement and class already. Anita Mlavkova and Ivan Morozov. Anita Mlavkova and Ivan Morozov. We've seen Anita's brother Lukasz compete last week, and we've seen her other brother Tadeusz in the singles this week. She competing in the ice dance event, so a family affair for sure.
And you know, I am absolutely no dance expert. That is for sure. I admit that right up front. I like this team. This team skated very close to each other the whole time. They have similar styles, similar strengths, and good energy throughout the program. Obviously, the detail of the technical, you would know more, Mark.
Well, this team, they competed 9 times international last season as an advanced novice team, and they won 8 of those events. So that gives you an indication of the recognition they've had at the novice, the younger category, and now stepping up to juniors. And by virtue of the fact that they have a solid stylization, they're obviously taught well. They're from an amazing skating school that's developing some of the best in the world at present, and they thus train with some of the best skating skills examples in the world, so they're somewhat destined for brilliance.
Yeah, this team, I think, really has, as all teams have the potential for, but this is very solid, similar skating skills. They know where each other is at all times. Look at the distance here and the speed. They're not drifting apart. Twizzles right in synchronization. Good deep turns and edges there, not too bad. This midline steps come in at a level 1 for both, so obviously they're missing some of the turns and requirements.
But the additional movement throughout this program, as we saw that non-touch midline step sequence, the energy commitment to it with arms, head, this layering developed on top of their good skating skills, as we see Barbara Ritsnikova, who's doing such a brilliant job.
Great job of this young team, 14 and 17 years, still in the Junior Grand Prix, 48.15. And they're pretty happy with that. That'll put them currently in the 7th place, but a very, very strong foundation. Well, a clean slate of ice there with people beside the boards. What does that mean, Mark? Questions.
Ready for more questions. That is indeed what we're ready.
There's you thought it was a trick question there. Before taking to the ice for the warm-up.
And we were fortunate enough to still have many questions that came in, and we appreciate them all. The last one we posted was just about the determination of which cities will host the Grand Prix. And now the next question comes not in regards to the ice dance competition, but to the singles, and it's from @Helene PBGR, and she asks, do you think that quintuple jumps are possible, and if yes, will that be achieved anytime soon?
I absolutely believe that it is possible.
Oh, that was a very
I do.
confident statement. Well done.
Because if you take a look at the quads that are performed now at the highest level, there's room.
Yeah.
There's room on the way up to be maybe quick, a little bit quicker, and there's definitely room on the way down to hold it a little bit longer, but you're going to have to be really, really quick on the exit. So I believe just through the science visual, as it is, there's room. Now, having said that, who will want to do it? And I think obviously Ilya Malinin has mentioned that he's interested in being the first guy to do a quint.
Yep.
But is there a point value? You're looking right at the moment.
This year, actually, on that topic, this year the International Skating Union released their various different communications, and this year quintuple jumps were added to the scale of values. Now there was a little bit of controversy last year because the value assigned to what Ilya Malinin did with the quad axel, I would perhaps support the argument that it wasn't rewarded hugely in the scale of values comparative to what we, the skaters, believe it's worthy. If a skater were now to do a quintuple jump, then they would receive 14 points. And interestingly, all of the different takeoffs are given the same values. So if you're doing different triples, they get different values. If you're doing a quint, they would all achieve 14 points at base value.
And what would be the quad of a quint? What would be the a quadruple jump for a toe loop and a quint for a toe loop?
So a 9.5 for a quad toe, a 14 for a quinttuple.
So an extra 5 points.
And so although the quad axel, perhaps, a quad axel was only 1 point more than a quad lutz, but if quintuple will be given a fairly big jump up.
Yeah, and I think there's time to still assess this and adapt this as the skating community debates it, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think physically that the quint is possible. But the more that you get to that level, the fewer people will be able to do it.
Well, when I think about Yuma Kageyama's quad salko, or maybe Adam Xiao Himfa's quad lutz, I think, I could comprehend.
Yes, you could.
But I remember hearing, I've said it on commentary before, that there was a debate when I think we talked about Vern Taylor did the triple axel. Oh, would quads ever be possible? And some suggested it wouldn't be. When Dick Button first did a triple loop, quadruple wouldn't be possible, and yet now they're commonplace. So.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Is it desirable for individuals to try it? I don't know. That's up to them.
Yeah, the risk versus reward. Yeah. Next question comes from @ALGLTU. How much do skates cost?
Well, that is a topic, isn't it? Depends. If you're dealing with, just getting a pair of skates to go around the pond, not too much. But at this level, they're in the $1,000 area.
Yeah.
And then you got blades on top of that, right? So there's not just the boot. There's the boots and the blades bought separately.
And there are lots of different brands that the skaters can choose from. And it was interesting, actually. I was overhearing. I was wanting to listen a little bit more intently, but I couldn't quite establish. But
that means eavesdrop.
I was definitely eavesdropping on some of the coaches discussing their students and just saying that they had problems with skates, and that can often be the case. That different feet, different shapes, different sizes, and different boots can suit different types of skater. Oh dear. Oh no, Ted. Somebody, Helen Marie _95, has said, "Are you feeling a bit delirious after yesterday?" So that suggests...
No, you were delirious last night.
Yes.
Or no, suggests that actually we're not doing a good job.
That suggests that obviously anything that was coming out of my mouth yesterday was nonsense, and thus I will endeavour to remain more cohesive and cognizant of my vocabulary today.
Well, it is, your energy level goes up and down, like a car, you accelerate and you don't, and after 12 hours, 12 and a half hours, we go up and down.
Yeah, for sure. But we cannot wait for the end of today's proceedings, whereby we will be joined by Jason Brennan. I'm sure no matter what levels of delirium we might be enduring at that 12-hour marker,
we'll just let him talk.
Well, yeah, we'll let him. Poor Jason. Hope he's not hearing that.
Yeah.
And that concludes the warm-up.
Great questions. Thank you so much for sending them in, and we welcome more, of course.
And now, as 4 teams leave the ice, we look forward to the performance of a new partnership, Laura Finelli and Massimiliano Bucciarelli. Their music, Le Freak and Hot Stuff. Well, a fantastic debut on the Junior Grand Prix for Laura Finelli and Massimiliano Bucciarelli. And I know that they train in both Rome and Milan. Massimo's from Rome, Laura's from Milan, but they only started together in March.
Jeez,
and
really?
That's amazing and testament to their basic skating skills fundamentally as individuals, but also perhaps it's that Italian lineage. I'm not sure exactly what coaches they've had, but their stylization is very well matched.
They're so together so early. I mean, since March, that's incredible as we take a look at the opening pose and the moves, but that was impressive.
And I thought for me, probably the best paso doble sequences, certainly the tightest in terms of compulsory dance technique of old, as we see good match, good proximity to one another here. I think there's a slight break in the rotation just there from Massimiliano, and I'm trying to be eagle-eyed because the technical panel are being quite strict in what they deem worthy of level features called.
Nice and close on those twizzles.
And here, the Paso 2, that's a key point for him. And the key point is based on some fairly easy steps, but the clarity and depth of edge on the key point 4 required is intense. And here, difficult entry as a feature into the rotational lift. Change of pose within it.
Just a level 3, so they're missing one of the features on that lift.
And it's actually come in as an extended lift. Now this year the teams are allowed up to an 8-second lift, and last year previously it was 7 seconds, so it's a shame that they've had over the 8-second marker, but that should be fairly easy to rectify as their coach Brunel Bianchi joins them, and they train with Valterizo alongside Bianchi, and thus consequently train partly with Noemi Maritali and Noah Lafornaro, who won last week. So success breeds success, and thus I'm sure
we saw Walter last week, and he'll be at home watching this now, of course.
And I feel for his wife and co-coach because she's probably got to apologize for his antics, whatever she
We
goes.
are on air right now. You realize that, don't you?
He's an amazing character.
You're going to get a phone call in a couple seconds.
Yeah, get me in trouble.
He's an amazing character. Such a sense of humor and joy.
And what a great job they're doing. You know, they've now got the front-running team. And this team not too far behind, with Laura and Massimiliano doing a phenomenal job after such a short space of time.
Well, you're going to need a 56 actually to take the lead, 55.06 to take second, at least at the moment, and a 53.36 to move into third place. All the 4 of the elements that were under review are now cleared. We'll get the scores for the rhythm dance. 52.29. They look okay. It's not too bad. That puts them into 4th place. You see the point spread here on the leaderboard. 4th, and they're just, over a point out of the 3rd position. So pretty close.
Had they not had that extended lift, it would have been even closer.
Yes, true.
And now to the likely favourites for this event. In 2022, they were 9th at Junior Worlds. 2023, 6th, just off the podium a few months ago. Selena Fradji and Jean-Han Fourneaux. Jean-Han celebrated his 21st birthday on Monday of this week. Well, the probable favourites, Selina Fradji and Tscharner and Fourneaux, and there was a little mistake in the twizzles for Selina, but I was really conscious that Selina, in this event, exudes increased posture or increased confidence. She gives me the vibe of champion worthy now.
Yeah, there was something improved.
Different.
Yeah, something different this year than last year.
I actually don't think there was perhaps the same performance value in terms of interpretation. I think that'll grow as the season progresses. It wasn't necessarily their most expressive, but there was just an air of, it's our turn.
Yeah, they sort of took the lead. We are the favorites here,
and
we
we're
want to
live
show
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're right about the posture. They're much straighter and stronger.
Yeah, and just the neckline, just that little bit open. Even here, you can see just already, you know this is the strongest team in this group. So crisp. There, you can see checked rotation. Choosing to rotate clockwise first, which is for most the more difficult.
And that's a 3 and a 4 for the Twizzle, so she just lost that one level.
And, you know, even here, a little reserved, perhaps with the facial expression, perhaps, but just crisp, tight, classy, and confident.
But now that they have the stronger base, if you will, that expression could grow depending on the program. But this is pretty expressive, too, the music.
Yeah.
So you can go with it.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we rave all the time about some of the choreography from the French teams, from Karine Adbert and Villard Delon, but such good musicality. Even that was just, the finished position had an air of
They're very thoughtful about their
self-confidence.
angles and about each picture of each, stature of each form, if you will. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance scores. 55.99 is the top score right at the moment. This is a 64.80. That's a huge lead, and that is clearly indicating the quality of this team and the execution of this dance. That was outstanding.
And that higher than anything posted last week as well in Riga as well, showcasing the strength of the French.
Next to stage, representing the United States of America, Renzi and Lissauer.
So an American team led the field up to that performance. Now it is the turn of the second American team, Renzi and Lissauer. Emily, Renzi and William Lissauer in their first Junior Grand Prix. They competed at the Enya Dance Trophy and won silver in the advanced novice category there. Now moving up to juniors. They've done brilliantly to make Team USA, and eager to see how they fare here. Fascinating to know that they take daily dance classes with Broadway professionals. They've chosen music from the Blues Brothers. I'm not sure if it's Broadway professionals who have been on in the Blues Brothers, but how amazing that it's a team that's that committed.
Well, it's smart, and that's probably building for the future, to build sort of a range of dance themes that they can do, storytelling.
This is probably my favorite element for the team. We've seen that performed already by others, the leapfrog over the back, but to do it with as much speed as that is daunting. I'd be nervous if I was William. He did it well. Here you can just see that break in the rotation. He did well. William did well to salvage that twizzle. And the choreography by this team, by Caitlin Weaver, and we've seen Caitlin do such brilliant work on the singles discipline. I feel like you were mentioning the costume. I feel like we've seen Caitlin in a similar costume. I think she did Michael Jackson.
That's true.
In a similar
Yeah,
kind of costume.
that's true.
So you can see obviously learning and taking all they can from the influences that they can, be it Broadway professionals or world medalists that double up as choreographers. So
You only become experts in the field by learning all the different aspects and genres, and you have to start early enough because there's so much to do in dance, and whether you use it or not on the ice, knowing about it is really important, and it gives you a range, a menu, if you will, of what you want to pick out of that to apply onto the ice.
And they work with coaching staff, Kristen Fraser-Lukanen and Igor Lukanen. Kristen is an ISU tech spec as well, so she's got that aspect of their training covered in regards to the levels. And obviously then great choreography by Caitlin, Broadway professionals. Sheesh.
Yeah, you got it all.
An amazing entourage supporting them. And also really friendly. They've been smiling around the rink. They're giving a good vibe whilst they're here in Ostrava.
Well, it's a great experience in life. It happens to be skating, but just the fact that you represent your country and join other people from different parts of the world, it's just a wonderful experience by itself. And then let alone in the passion that you love, which is your sport. So, yeah, most of the skaters that come on here the very first time, it's just a great joy. Okay, maybe not if they didn't say well, but but it's just a good joy.
Sometimes you see some of the athletes looking a little bit wide-eyed, struck in headlights, kind of almost freaked out by the enormity of the occasion. But certainly Emily, we have seen in and around the rink, seems to be totally embracing.
And to be on a team, I think, representing your country as a team, you may know the people, but now you become lifelong friends or acquaintances at least.
Jason Brown, who's joining us later, we had the test call with him yesterday, and at the same time Charlie White was in the room. And you can just tell they've experienced life together at events around the world.
Exactly. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance scores for Emily and William. 50.50. That is 8th in the rhythm dance. And not of approval on there. They're pretty happy with the performance for sure, and the score as well, as we see them currently in 8th place.
Oh, Kristen's out of there.
Well, there's no guard.
Representing the Republic of Korea, Yoo and Grant.
And now to another new team on the Junior Grand Prix, Yoo and Zachary John Grant, skating to Ladies' Night and Get Down Tonight. Yoo and Zachary John Grant.
Right now, there it looks like 6 elements are inputted into the system. Because remember I was saying that not the same as the program content, and the lift came last, the straight line lift. So that's interesting. We'll see how that all gets sorted out upon the reviews. But right now they have 6 elements.
And they do not want to lose their final element, the straight line lift, which is the only element to achieve such a high level. It's coming at level 4. So
we'll have to see what unfolds in that mystery.
It's going to be some interesting discussion with the tech panel after this event, because they've been fairly clear in, I think, what they want insofar as it's been consistency, because just a base level given to Zachary within the twizzles. And I am not sure why. Because I thought they were okay. But no level given. I assume there's an issue for the tech panel in regards to the speed of the rotation for many here. Right outside rocker, then a back 3 turn into right inside bracket. And then here, do a little dance, make a little love. And into the twizzle and the heel turn. It's good.
And that's the element here at the end of the program, which is currently, well, it does have a value to it, but I don't know how that's going to work. I think they're sorting it out right now in the technical panel.
Coach Bruno Oi competed in ice dance for Japan from 2011 to 2013. Great to see so much happiness in the kiss and cry for this team. Zachary did junior singles, but seems to have embraced the ice dance style so very well. You had experience at US novice domestic events, but this obviously a much bigger
stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. We talked yesterday about the British team going from dance to, or the boy going from dance to pairs, which we haven't seen. I don't remember that.
Well, I have got some of our friends that, in fact, I think it was the skating school. I can't remember. We're so lucky at the input and support that we get from various different educated parties. But I think there are a couple of other examples. So I'll reference back when we do the pairs free skate later.
Perfect.
And it looks like everything's been sorted and cleaned up. The input into the system had the first sequence of the paso doble, followed by the sequential twizzles, then the midline step sequence, second sequence of paso doble, and then that straight line lift will now be counted.
Everything's
so
looking
all
okay.
is good. Phew. Skating skills for this team in the high 3s range. And so that what they will hopefully take away from this event, the ability to skate alongside the likes of Selena Fradji and Hemcke and Fourneaux, who have such well-honed basic skating skills. That's that quality that they've showcased, which has pushed them into the 7s range. So 7 out of 10, their score. High 3s for this young couple with the potential to move up.
And here comes the rhythm dance scores for this team. Finally having the data sorted out. Any moment now. I see 7 of the 9 judges have their scores in. It's quite a very precise process on the tech panel and the judging panel. No one gets to see that, but it is quite remarkable. 36.36, and that'll put Yoo and Zachary into 16th position.
Oh, Zachary's twizzles went up to 3. Good.
There you go.
Phew. Also few. I've said that too many times.
Final team.
On the ice, representing Canada,
So currently Canada has the 3rd ranked team in this rhythm dance ice dance competition. Now the final team and second team from your neck of the woods, Ted Lawrence, Briere and Briere Levesque. And we will be treated to music by the Beatles again for their rhythm dance. I hope Laurence and Julien are okay. That was a really tough fall. Just where I thought he might have got his head.
Yeah, though one of the worst types of falls are unexpected. It just happened out of nowhere. Sometimes you can feel yourself going down, but this happens so suddenly, and you don't have control. Put your hand down, or make sure you land on your shoulder first versus your head. But I'm not sure. We'll take a look at this, but they got up right away and kept on. And
they conducted themselves amazingly after that.
And they were terrific up to that point.
Yeah, and actually, even beyond it, I enjoyed their midline step sequence despite the mistake. And
they were really aggressive through this portion, and it carried good speed across the ice, as much as you can tell on the screen, of course.
Nice clean cross behind there within the paso doble. I really enjoyed this as well, the depth of the
and the confidence as well.
Well, this team were novice national champions, I believe, and third at the next gen event out of 13 teams. And indeed, they were...
Watch right here, or not sure. No, it's not right here.
They were just behind Veillon and Brandys, who are currently in third, so they would have been hoping to be in contention with them. That the difficult entry, the lunge into the twizzles.
And then right there, a little bit of a loss. And here, I think it's coming up. This is the fall right here. Just catches his blade, but he didn't hit his head. No,
good.
He wasn't. It was okay.
And they did get up incredibly well back into this, the non-touch midline step sequence. Laurence has good feet, clean, tidy footwork.
It's a good team. They had a tough skate, no question, but good speed. They are aggressive. What I like is they weren't just skating at a certain speed to be safe.
No,
they were aggressive. Yeah, absolutely.
And I always admire them so much when they conduct themselves as professionals they just have, despite that mistake.
Exactly. 44.35 for Laurence and Julien, and that'll put them currently in 13th place. Without that fall and the twizzle bobble, that would have been significantly higher, probably a little bit closer to around 50.
Yep.
Well, interesting event. We saw a number of mistakes, of course, and some strong teams as well. I mean, clearly the leaders are Fradji and Fourneaux of France.
Yeah, I think Wolfkostin and Tsarevski would have been hoping to be contending for the title here, but they had mistakes, as so many of the teams did, and that goes to suggest, given what happened in Riga last week, that the ice dancers are certainly pushing themselves, and hopefully they'll be benefiting from more run-throughs as the season progresses.
Exactly. Well, that concludes our coverage of the rhythm dance. Up next will be the pairs, the first medal event, pair-free program, followed by the men's event a little bit later tonight. Don't forget, Jason Brown will be joining us as a guest commentator. So that concludes our coverage of the rhythm dance. We'll be back with the pairs free in just a little bit.